Hey guys, my name is Libby and I would love to teach you some music theory. This is good whether you're brand new or whether you've been playing a long time. It really just helps connect the dots of what you're playing with what you're hearing, with what you're seeing on the page, and it helps you learn faster. It's really great to help you grow musically. So here we go. The first thing that you need to know is what the notes are. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts again over at A. Okay, so once again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Now the black notes, those have two names. So this one, we know this is A and this is B, but the two names for this note is either A sharp or B flat. So flats go down and sharps go up. Okay, so like this note, we know this is C and this is D. So this note is called either D flat or C sharp. Once again, this one. This is F and this is G. So this note is either called F sharp or G flat. Another thing that's good to know is what intervals are. Intervals is the distance between two notes. Okay, and you use them by saying second, third, fourth, etc. So this is a second. They're right next to each other. This is a third. This is a fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then eighth, or an octave. Once again, I'll start here. This is a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, or octave. So now we're going to do a little pop quiz. And as I play something, I want you to, in your mind, think if it's a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh. This is a third. Second, third. What's this one? This is a fifth. Second, third, fourth, fifth. This one. This is a second. All right. Another thing that's good to know is what a half step is and what a whole step is. Okay, half step is when the notes are right next to each other. Half step, half step. Even these two white notes are half step because there's nothing in between them. Or here, half step, nothing in between them. A whole step is when you jump and skip a note. For instance, this is a whole step. You just skipped this C sharp here. This is a whole step. You skipped this one. Even these two black notes, it's a whole step because you skipped this G. So half steps are when they're right next to each other. Whole steps are when you've skipped a note. Okay, I want to talk about major and minor chords. There's other types of chords, diminished, augmented, but we're not going to use those too much. They're not used much in pop music or in worship music. So we're just going to talk about major and minor chords. But every chord, no matter what kind of chord it is, has a root, a third, and a fifth. The root is like if it's a C major chord, C is the root. If it's an E minor chord, E is the root. So it goes with the name of the chord. It's your starting point. And I want you to hear the difference between a major and a minor. I want you to connect your ears with what we're about to learn, and then we'll learn to put it, how you put one together. So major chords sound happy. Minor chords sound sad. Okay, so another quick quiz. In your mind, I want you to think about what you think if it's a major chord or a minor chord. This is a major chord. You can hear that it's happy. What's this one? It's a minor chord. It's sad. This is minor. It's sad. This one, you can hear the difference. This one is major. Happy. Okay, so now how do you make a major chord and a minor chord? Okay. Major chord. They all have a root. These are our three notes here. Root. A third. In a major chord, it's called a major third. In a also perfect fifth is this fifth here. Don't worry too much about the perfect part. In a minor chord, we have our three notes. We have a root. We have a minor third and a perfect fifth again. Okay, so what's a minor third? What's a major third? What's a perfect fifth? I'm going to show you. A perfect fifth is 7 half steps. Remember, half step is when they're right next to each other. A major third is 4 half steps. A minor third is 3 half steps. Okay? So, if we're going to make a minor chord, I'm going to start with A. I'm going to say A minor. How do you make that chord? You start with A as the root, then you go, remember, a minor third, which is 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. So our second note is C. Then you go a perfect fifth, which is 7 half steps from the root. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our next note is E. Okay, let's say we want to do a major chord. This is A minor, we learned. Let's say we want to do A major. Well, A is the root, we know that's the first note. The third, remember, it's 2, if you skip a note. Third, this major third is 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. So C sharp here. Then the last one is 7 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is E. So look at that. We have A major. And we can hear that it sounds happy. We can hear also over here the A minor sounds sad. And what's the difference between these two chords? It's the third, right? The root's the same, the fifth is the same, it's the third. One is C, one is C sharp. So what does that tell you about forming chords? It tells you that if you know the one chord, if you know the major, well then all you do to find the minor is lower that third. If you know the chord of E major, you go down to E minor. Let's say you know the chord of D minor, D, F, A. Well, you know, if you want D major, you just raise the third to make it major. See, the difference between the major and minor is the third. Let's find one more. Let's find F minor. Okay? F minor. First note is F. Then we go a minor third, which is 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. That note is A flat. Then we do 7 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. C. That's F minor. But if we want a major, you raise it to get F major. Okay, so now this next part is going to be a little tricky, and I encourage you, if you're a little bit confused, don't feel bad at all, and maybe just re-watch those last few minutes before we move on to this next part, because it is pretty intense. If you can hear, there's a thunderstorm happening right now. So just like the thunderstorm, this next part is very intense. Nashville numbering system. This is my favorite part. Okay, Nashville numbering system connects all the dots of what we just learned. It starts with the major scale. What is a major scale? You've probably heard that sound before. Major scale is just a group of notes in a specific order of half steps and whole steps. And those are your options. That's the key you're in. If you're in the C, if you play the C scale, then you're in the key of C. If you're playing a D major scale, you're in the key of D. It's also important to note that you can start this major scale in any one of these notes and use the same formula of half steps and whole steps. Do you hear how that sounds the same, but it's a little higher, it's different? Or it's the same formula of steps, half steps and whole steps, but you start on a different note. Okay, so I'm going to use the C major scale because that is the simplest one because it uses all the white keys. Okay, now what the natural number system does is it makes every note the root of a chord and identifies that chord. So every note has a number. So C is the first scale degree, we say. D is the second scale degree. E is the third scale degree. F is the fourth scale degree, and so on. But instead of writing the actual number, we use Roman numerals. And the reason isn't because we want to go old school. The reason is because you can do them uppercase and lowercase, which makes us further identify them as major, minor, or diminished chords. So the uppercase ones are major. So in the key of F, C, F, and G are major chords. In the key of C, D minor, E minor, and A minor are the minor chords, because those are the lowercase ones. So uppercase Roman numerals means they're major, lowercase Roman numerals mean that they're minor. This little degree sign means that it's diminished, but we're not gonna use a diminished chord because it sounds like this. So it's not used a whole lot except jazz and classical music. So like this is major, you lower the third and it's minor. If you also lower the fifth, it becomes diminished. Kind of a suspenseful, angry sound. So I'm just gonna go ahead and erase this one because we're not gonna use it in our options. Okay. So I want to teach you another word, diatonic. Diatonic means it's in the key. Diatonic in the key. So what does that mean? It means we're not going to use C sharp or D sharp or F sharp or G sharp. It means we're going to stick with these white keys. It means we're going to form chords based off the root notes and only using the notes in the key. So for instance, C, if we're going to build a chord off of C, every chord has a third and a fifth. So you skip a note and you do E, and then you skip another note and do G. So C, E, and G. So it's the root. Then you went to the third and then the fifth, G. And it's you're not using other notes. You're just using the notes in the key. Okay, now if you're going to start a chord on D, you go 2 over to F, then the fifth is A. And you can hear that's a minor chord. You can hear that sad. The next chord, E, G, and B, because we skipped to third, fifth, you can hear that that's minor. And that's why it has the lowercase Roman numerals. Then you go to F. Then it goes A and C, just like this, root, third, fifth, and you can hear that it's major. Okay, so this is like our formula of what chords are in what keys. So if you're going to write a song, for instance, and you're like, I don't know what chords to play, these are your options. These are your 6 chord options that will always sound good together, always. Okay, so how is this useful? Like, why learn these Roman numerals? You know, what does it help us? Well, for one, it really helps you transpose easier. If you can learn to think in the numbers and not in the notes as much, you can transpose very quickly. So for instance, the key of E is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and then D sharp. Okay, so if I'm going to play, I'm going to play E, I'm going to play E, C sharp minor, B, and then A. Let's say I'm playing How He Loves, if you know that song. And I'm like, okay, it's on the chord chart, I'm all good. I'm like, oh, how he loves us so, oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so low. What do? You move it up, you transpose it is what we call that. And so I know, oh, E is 1, this is 6, this is 5, this is 4. So, hey, I know in the key of C, C is 1, A minor, G, F is 4, easy peasy. Oh, how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. Oh, it's so much better. There you go. You didn't have to like look up on the internet and figure out how to do it and find a thing that would transpose it for you. You know how to do it because you know the numbers. You know the scales. So it may seem roundabout at first, but once it's in your head, once you kind of know it, it's real quick to change things around, to change the key. Once again, I already mentioned, you know what chords sound good together. You know that E major, A major, B major will always sound good together in the key of E. The other awesome thing is that you will be able to hear the chords easier, be able to play by ear easier. So if you've ever known someone who can just like hear the chords and they don't need any music and they just like play the chords and you're like, man, I wasn't born with that gift. You know, I don't know how to do that. It's just magic. But it's not magic. It just took some time and effort to really listen to the relationship between the chords. Because I'll tell you what, I'll go and see. The different chords, the numerals actually have different personalities, I like to think of it. So the 1 chord always feels like home. It always feels really stable. The 5 chord is also a major chord, but it's a bit less stable. You can hear that it always wants to, like you can't end there. It's not stable. You want to go back to the 1. So you gotta hear the relationship between them. Or F, the 4 chord, is good, but it's not quite as calm as 1, as like peaceful as 1. Or if you go to the minor chords, A minor, which is 6. The 6 chord, like it's sad, but it's kind of like content. Kind of goes with this rain happening right now, if you can hear that. But if you go to the 3 chord, it's a little bit more angsty, but a little bit, and then you go to the 4, oh okay, it's better now. And also, you can hear, like if you go from the 4 to the 5, you're like, oh, that's like a step apart. Like you can hear the relationship between them. Like it's only like 1 step apart. It's going down 1 step, and it's going up 1 step. A lot of times in songs, this is how they're building. 4, 5, and then 1 resolves at 1. So that kind of just gives you an idea. And if you can't hear all that right now, please, please, please do not feel bad. It takes some time to train your ear to hear these things. And you can start by writing on your chord charts. Write 1, 6 so in the Roman numerals. So you see uppercase, lowercase, major, minor. Like write them out so you can begin your training your ear to hear the relationship between these chords. And you'll find yourself playing by ear easier. You'll find yourself understanding what you're playing, and you'll learn things faster. And it's just a really great tool for you. It's like a map. Music theory, it's like things are so much easier when you have the map, right? You can see where you're going, what you need to do, whatever. And that's what music theory is. It helps you see what you're doing, what you need to do to get where you want to go. So I also want to just end with this idea that as a musician, please, please release yourself from perfection, from the pressure to be perfect. Because I think that's a huge killer. On so many worship teams I've been on, or just musicians that I know, and when you're first starting out, you can really struggle with that, and people quit really fast because they feel like they're not perfect right away, and they want to do it right the first time. And I just want to release you from that pressure to be perfect, and to enjoy the process, enjoy learning. And another thing is the best way that you're going to grow is with other people. If you can play someone who's just learning or someone who already knows how to play, just begin to pull out some chord charts, play with them, and you're going to get better a lot faster. You're going to feel things better, you're going to have more dynamics, you're going to just grow a lot. So I encourage you to play with someone else. If you don't know anyone, if you don't have anyone, then put on an album and play along with it with your chord charts, and you'll also grow by playing alongside the album. But yeah, music is actually, I believe music is meant to be enjoyed together. You're actually, the very essence of music is you're playing something and someone can hear it. And so it's meant to be done together. So practice, 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 and learn and everything, but it's so rewarding to play with other people and to worship with other people and practice with others, and it's just so, so rewarding. So don't be too inclusive and too inward focused, but enjoy music with other people, and that you won't quit. You won't quit if you enjoy it with other people. That's my opinion. But yeah, hope this helped you. Hope this enlightened you. Hope it's a tool for you, and yeah, just really glad that we got to spend this time together. So, thank you.